Before the arenas, before the awards.
This is b4Nahville Live. Have a question for our guest? Send it to us via Messenger.
Here's your host, George Davis.
Welcome back to Before Nashville, where we're introducing the country stars of tomorrow to the country fans of today. Tonight, I'm super excited to have this guy on for a lot of reasons, and we'll get into some of those here in just a bit. But in the meantime, we're also going to check out his newest single that he's just recently released, and we'll talk about that and play it as well. But it's Scotty Hasting. Scotty, how are you, man?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me on here.
Hey, appreciate you coming on. I know that you're a pretty busy fella. I see you a lot on Instagram and your social media, and I try to keep up with you as much as possible. But it's sometimes kind of hard. I mean,
I'm just trying to do the best I can, you know.
Yeah, I actually saw you had some dates coming up too, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on where you're going to be playing. So if people are going to be in and around, they can go check you out as well. But to start it off, let's just talk a little bit about Scotty. I mean, where'd you grow up? You know, what were you into? Sports, girls, that kind of thing.
I grew up in Northern Kentucky, and Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky area, literally right across the water from Cincinnati. And I was into sports. Growing up, me and my brother have always been heavily competitive into sports, football, baseball, basketball, all that great stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then through high school, kind of with the sports being the focus, what happened after that? Did you go off to college? Were you planning on going to college?
Yeah. I did the normal, well, maybe not normal, but in my group of friends and stuff, it was normal. Go for a little bit in college and then realize, I don't really know if this is what I want to do. And then, moved on from there. Did a bunch of random jobs and played a little semi-pro baseball, and eventually joined the military. So there we go.
Let me ask you a quick question because I'm really curious about this. I mean, I've read so many, like you've got, I'm going to list some of the, the major country artists that a lot of people know, but like Brett Young, you've got Chris Lane, you've got several of those guys that played baseball. And it seemed like they played baseball, and then something happened that they got into music instead. What's the correlation with that?
I don't know. I was never at that level to where, really baseball was going to get anywhere for me. Mm-hmm. I was doing a lot of, playing, not really doing anything else. And I wasn't making a lot of money. I wasn't really going anywhere with it. So it was just, eventually I had a calling to, join the military. So I did that. Absolutely.
So how old were you when you went into the military?
I was 22. I was actually old going in. It was weird because I joined basic training. I went to basic training and I was the old man, 22 years old, and I'm the old man in the group. It was so weird.
Most of the guys are going in at 18, and by 19 or 20, they're out of basic. And
18, 19. Yeah. And then it was so funny that like basic training is funny because I don't know how some of these guys got through life. Like there's just like these there were some of them that just did some crazy stuff, and you were like, how are you still here? Like how is it even possible that you're still alive? Like there's no like
those are the guys that always scared me, but they're the ones that are probably the ones you want in your corner out in the field sometimes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I mean, with going to basic at that age and, 22 years old, what was your primary job in the military? And I know
I was an infantryman.
Thing for that.
The MOS, or the military occupation specific, whatever it is, specialty or whatever, military occupational specialty or something like that. MOS. I was an 11 Bravo, which is an infantryman.
Okay.
And it's what I always wanted to do. It was, everyone has their idea of what a soldier is, and what makes a soldier. And for me, it was someone on the front lines fighting, and that's what I wanted to do.
Right. And we're kind of jumping into it a little bit early, so let me backtrack just a
All right.
minute here
Yeah,
because I
absolutely.
want to find out some other things first. Um, the music, when did that kind of come in? Was that, I mean, had you always grown up on music and
Yeah,
played?
I mean, I started singing when I was super young. I
Okay.
was, yeah, I mean, from going to church with my mom and just like the praise and worship and singing and stuff like that,
Mhm.
to even like hanging out with my dad in the car and listening to the Garth Brooks cassette, the Friends in Low Places cassette, just on
Mhm.
repeat over and over again, and just singing along to every song. I've been singing and been in love with, Garth Brooks is what made me fall in love with country music. So, there's it's yeah, lot of great memories with singing and with, just growing up in a family that really enjoyed music. So
That's always a good thing, especially if that's eventually where you wind up because you want to have that background. But did you have any
absolutely.
kind of formal training in like music or voice or
No,
instruments or anything?
no, unfortunately, no. I was in the band when I was in like middle school. But it was funny because I was in the band when I was in middle school, and I had a teacher or someone who was in charge of the boys choir through our middle school, and they were like, "We really want you. Like, you should come out." Blah blah blah. And I was like, "No, I don't want to do that. Like, singing's silly. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, and now I'm like, man, I probably should have done that. Like, I don't. But yeah."
When you were in the band, what were you playing? I mean, what was your instrument
Oh,
of choice?
I played trombone for like a year, and then I played trumpet for a year, and then I got too cool because I started doing sports more, and it was,
Right.
yeah,
Can't,
absolutely,
kind of hard to think of, hitting a grand slam or taking out a guy, depending on what your role was in football. If
yeah,
whenever you're having to go home afterwards and practice trombone or something like that.
absolutely, absolutely. Priorities, man. Sports became the priority. Absolutely.
Right, right. What was your favorite sport in high school that you played?
Baseball, hands
Okay.
down. Baseball, hands down.
I guess that would make sense since you were semi-pro. I mean, it
Absolutely.
kind of makes sense. What exactly? Give me just an idea. I mean, I know, and I feel like a lot of our people that are watching know, but semi-pro baseball. What does that mean?
Yeah. So it was just basically I don't really know how to explain it. It was kind of like an independent league,
Okay,
basically. We got we did yeah, you didn't get paid much, like
right.
at all. But it was baseball and it was fun. And we had a lot of people who used to play professionally. We had a lot of people who had moved back to the Cincinnati area who had retired from baseball, but they wanted to continue to play. So yeah, it was kind of like that.
Wow,
It
sounds like
was
a lot of
yeah,
fun. I mean, I played baseball as a youngster, but I never got that far into it.
absolutely.
And so it sounded like it'd be a lot of fun. So, moving forward from there, getting back to the military now. Your MOS. You said you were an infantryman,
Yep.
and that was a guy that you're the front line. You're the one everybody's shooting at first and foremost.
Yep. Absolutely.
So, what the first firefight you got into? What were your first thoughts when that happened?
Um, I don't know if I can cuss on here, but
Go right ahead.
holy shit, this is real.
There you go.
Basically, it's funny because they train you like crazy, and they train you like what to do, how to do it, blah blah blah. And you think you have a basic understanding of what this is going to be like, and then you get in your first firefight, and it's like, what is happening? Like it's like a whole. I mean, it's something that I don't think anyone could ever really be ready for until it actually happens.
Right. And a lot of times at that point, what I've always heard, because I've never served, and before I go any further, I just want to, thank you for your desire to do that and your service to our country and protecting our freedoms. But from what I've always heard is once you get in a firefight, it's like muscle memory. You don't have time to think about anything. It's just
Yeah,
muscle
no, you
memory.
just hope that your training kicks in and you just do what you need to do.
Right.
Um, so luckily, being in the infantry, they train us pretty well on what we need to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And during this time, were you still doing music? Were you writing any at that time? Were
No,
you playing
no,
and
not at
singing?
this time. At this time, music wasn't even near my radar at this
Okay.
time. Um, of course, like I always still like sang in the car. Through basic training, it was funny because in basic training, the guys figured out that I could sing.
Hmm.
So they would have like their moms or their dads or their, you know, their wives or whatever. They would have them send lyrics to songs to me, and then I would sing the songs. And it was like, what? Like, but yeah, it became a whole thing in basic training. Absolutely,
Kind of became the base entertainment, so to speak.
100%. I mean, there was nothing else to do, so why not?
Right. Right. And I mean, I've talked to several guys who are veterans, and they say pretty much the same thing, is you don't have a lot of time to do that, but once somebody finds out, then you don't have a lot of time not to do that.
It becomes a whole thing, and they're like, "Hey, sing this song, sing this song, sing this song, sing this one." Yeah, and it's like, oh god, okay,
Right.
absolutely.
So you your story is a very um harrowing story. Um, I watched it on Instagram. You have kind of a unique way of playing guitar due to your injuries,
I
and you were
do.
talking about that one day on
I do.
Instagram, and I watched that. So, give us a background about what is the difference of the way you play and somebody else, and then
Yeah,
just kind of go forward into why and how and things like that.
absolutely. So I it's actually easier for me to explain like why first.
Okay.
So I have nerve damage in my right hand. Um, so because of the nerve damage, I can't feel this hand at all.
Okay.
I can't straighten my fingers. They're always like this. So because of that, I can't do any like fancy finger picking like a lot of these guys can do. The only thing I can do is strum, which in country music, that's fine. You know, that you don't need to be able to play anything fancy.
Right.
Um, but yeah, when I strum, I'm either just using my thumb to do it to strum like that, or I actually have I don't have one right here on my desk with me, but I actually have a piece that is Velcro. It's called Strum and Comfort. Um, and it's actually a Velcro piece that holds the pick on my thumb. And it actually holds it down just like if you were holding it with two fingers, except it just straps onto my thumb. And that's how I have to play. Unfortunately, like I can't play individual strings very well because I can't feel my hand and where it's at. Sometimes I'll miss some strings while I'm playing, and that's just part
Mhm.
of it.
Right.
But yeah, and that's literally how I have to play. Yeah, it's
So, and all of that came about because of something that happened to you while you were deployed.
absolutely.
Um,
So while I was in Afghanistan, I actually got shot on patrol. I got shot 5 times in the shoulder, 4 times in the hip, and once in the thigh. Um, so for a total of 10 rounds that went in and out of my body.
mm,
Um, and when I got shot in the shoulder, it actually basically destroyed my brachial plexus, which is kind of like a hand of nerves that go into your shoulder. Think of it as a hand, like each individual finger branches off and goes into different parts of your body with
right.
your nerves. And where it was hit, my hand and my arm was affected the most. Um, so now I'm stuck with this awesome claw hand, and I can't feel it at all because the nerves weren't able to reconnect back to the muscles in my hand and stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
And the story that I remember you telling this, you were sweeping for
yeah,
IEDs
yeah,
and stuff.
mhm. Yeah.
And
So I was a Valen operator. It's called a Valen. It's a fancy name for metal detector.
mhm,
Um, but yeah, that's basically what it was. I was in front with the Valen, and I was sweeping for IEDs, and saw a guy standing behind a wall, and he just looked like a normal person who was looking trying to figure out what the heck we were doing there, because all of them try to figure out what the heck we're doing there.
Right.
And I saw him move real quick, and he was maybe 10, 15 yards from me. He was really close. And I saw him move real quick, and by the time I squared up to him, he had already started firing. So, yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That's just crazy. I mean, it's so, I don't think a lot of people understand. I don't want to say they don't understand what our servicemen and women go through when they're deployed, but in a situation like that, I don't think you can ever comprehend if you're not in that situation.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because me and my girlfriend have had this talk before. That it's people who have never been there, have a basic understand. They think they have an understanding and a basic idea of what it is, and they don't truly know. Being in that situation is so much more complex and so much more, intense than anyone could ever fathom. But people like to think that they have some type of idea, and it's not very accurate.
Yeah, and it's guys like you that really put a lot of that into perspective. I know like I said, I know you've told your story on Instagram because you had a lot of people asking you,
Absolutely.
and you said, I'm just going to clear this up for everybody. This is what happened. And you go through a lot of the different things that happened that day. And
100%. Yeah. I even have a diagram and everything.
Yeah.
So
and I watched
it explains all
in entirety. I was like glued, it was like, I couldn't turn away. It was just so.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
A part of me was, rooting that everything would turn out okay. But then the part of me is like sick to my stomach, knowing what you went through, because you were pretty much knocking on, not to, quote a classic rock song, but you were pretty much knocking on heaven's door.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I had actually lost so much blood that my eyesight shut down. I couldn't see anything. Parts of my body started shutting down to keep, the main things alive. So they want to keep my heart alive, my brain alive. But there were parts of my brain that started shutting down that, my body didn't need at the time. And my eyesight was one of them. And it's crazy. I like the way that I explain it is, so it was like a white film that basically just went over my eyes. I couldn't see anything. And so like you see it in like the movies, a lot of people talking about like, I see the light and don't go into the light, whatever, that stuff. From what I've experienced, like the whole like seeing the light, that's what that is. Basically, it's your eyesight shutting down because you're losing so much blood. It's basically like that point right before type thing. Yeah, I mean that's the only thing that I can really think that would come from.
Right. And now after you come back to the States, you're first off, if I remember right, were you sent to, was it Germany, to a military hospital?
I was. So from Kandahar, which is where we were in the Kandahar province of Afghanistan. So we went, I first went to the Kandahar Airfield Hospital. While I was there, that was where they got the initial like treatment that saved my life. And that was, once I was somewhat stable, they were able to move me to Landstuhl, Germany. But in between Landstuhl and Afghanistan, they actually lost pulse in my arm because there was actually a nick in my artery that they had missed. So because of that, they had to make an emergency stop at Bagram, in Bagram, which I believe is in like Bagram, Iraq. And so I don't remember a lot of this. I'm just going off of what I was told. So while I was in Bagram, they took a vein out of my leg and replaced the artery that runs from your heart down your arm. They replaced the artery with a vein, and they were like, "Oh yeah, the vein will grow to be an artery. It'll be okay." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then finally, once I was stable from that in Bagram, then I was finally able to get to Landstuhl in Germany.
Okay.
And then from Germany, I went to Walter Reed.
Right. And then one of the great parts of your story that I was listening to you on a podcast today, and I think it was actually yesterday and today. I think the podcast was HHUSA.
HHA USA. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, those are good friends of mine. Absolutely.
Was listening to that, and they were kind of going through, because while you're at Walter Reed, then that's where your physical recovery started.
Absolutely.
And you've always been into, I mean, growing up in Kentucky, you can't be from Kentucky or Missouri or even, Western Tennessee or Eastern Tennessee for that matter, and not hunt and fish and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
yeah,
you kind of had to refigure some things.
Absolutely.
And
yeah, it wasn't until I got back to Fort Riley, where I was originally stationed. And the reason why I went back to Fort Riley was because my guys were coming home from Afghanistan, and I wanted to be there. I wanted to make sure that I was there for when they got there. Then I could, see them. I miss them. We had lost a lot of people, and I wanted to be there. And while I was at Fort Riley, it was basically they gave me a list and they said, "Here are adaptive sports." And I was like, okay, let's try it. The Surgeon General of the Army was really pushing adaptive sports hard. It was a way for soldiers to regain that competitive edge that they had lost when they got injured.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I literally tried all of them. Some of them were not for me. Definitely not. There were some of them that were just kind of silly that were on there, but there were also some that I fell in love with. Sitting volleyball, which is a Paralympic sport. I fell in love with that.
Right.
Archery. I had never, so before this, I had never picked up a bow. I had never shot a bow. Even being from Kentucky, bows were out of my realm. Like I'd only shot firearms. I'd only shot rifles, pistols and stuff. I had only hunted with rifles and pistols. I'm only hunted with rifles. So it was like bows were out of my realm, but I knew that they were for hunting, and I was like, heck yeah, man. I mean, I'll go hunting. I'll do that. So I went there, and naturally, I'm right-handed naturally.
Right.
So and if anyone's ever shot a bow, you have the release on the hand back here, and you pull it like a trigger.
Right.
Well, I can't feel my hand. So I launched 3 arrows straight into the ceiling, and the guy who was running it was like, "Hey, you need to stop. Stop doing whatever you're doing. Stop it." And the reason why was because I couldn't feel my finger. I had no idea where my finger was, and that it just kept hitting the trigger. So yeah, I eventually got to where I was like, no, I'm going to figure this out. I'm way too hard-headed for someone to tell me that I can't do it. So I'm going to figure this out. And then over time, with talking to the guy who was running it, who's now a really good friend of mine, Jesse White, and talking to him, it was basically like, well, if your hand is, not doing anything, how about we just switch to left-handed, to where you're basically holding the bow with this hand and you're pulling with this hand. That way you have all the control in this hand. And I was like, sure, let's give it a shot. Why not? And then I fell in love with archery. As soon as I started doing that, I started shooting a lot better. It became incredibly therapeutic for me. And it really got me through a lot of tough times, getting into archery. And, because for the 7 seconds that you're up at full draw about to shoot that shot, nothing else matters. And it was incredibly therapeutic. Like I said, it was very therapeutic to have those 7 seconds at a time to where nothing else mattered. All the depression and the PTSD and all that stuff just disappeared.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So when you're now, as you're going through the adaptive sports, and like I said, I was listening to this podcast, and you were talking about, or they were asking you questions about it, and I know I think it was 2016 or something like that when you guys had first met at the Warrior Games is what it was called.
Yeah.
And that is that like an adaptive sporting event for,
it's
military?
So originally the Warrior Games came to be, So the Warrior Games is for wounded, ill, and injured servicemen and women. And it's a Paralympic style event. So they have multiple sports across multiple days, and it's each individual branch of service against each other. So it's like Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, SOCOM, that we're all competing against each other in these different sports. Archery was one of them. And the guy who originally told me to stop shooting, at this point, me and him had become really good friends, and I was shooting really well. And he was basically, he had done the Warrior Games before, and he was like, man, you need to do this. You need to try this. Just go there. We'll, shoot your bow, and we'll see what happens.
Right.
And back then, when I first competed in the Warrior Games, which is in 2014, it was actually ran by the U.S. Paralympic Committee. Okay. And the U.S. Paralympic Committee would take the Warrior Games, and they would put on, they would put on a show, and they would have all these events, and they would always have someone from one of the national governing bodies through whichever Paralympic program. So whether it be archery or track and field or sitting volleyball, whatever para sport that they have in that tournament or in that event, there is someone from the national governing body who represents the U.S. Paralympic Committee there. So it was a way for them to recruit. It was a way for them to recruit into the Paralympic programs. Right. So I actually shot the first year of 2014, and I did really well. I did so well that I actually got recruited by the archery, the Paralympic archery program. So, and then that next year, I was shooting all across the country, and I was shooting as an emerging athlete within the Paralympic program. Okay. Because I had gotten recruited. So because of the fact that I had moved on from the Warrior Games into the Paralympic program, Jesse, the guy who first told me to stop shooting because I was so terrible, wanted me to come on and coach. So I had coached that next year. And then in 2016, when the HHA guys were there, I was a coach as well. So that was when we first got to meet them.
Okay. So, and you were coaching other archers at that point?
Absolutely. Yeah. I was coaching the U.S. Army archery team. I was one of the assistant coaches, and still am. So.
Okay. Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah.
And now through the coaching of that and everything, this whole time, I mean, you talked about how that 7 seconds would help with the PTSD and
absolutely
the emotions and everything that you go through, because we all hear about PTSD, but if you haven't suffered from it, you don't understand it. Oh. And I've talked to other veterans who have dealt with it, and I don't have it myself, so I don't 100% understand it, but I know about it, I guess is the best way to put it.
Absolutely.
And so when you're coaching, was that just as good for you as it was that 7 seconds? Was it
100%? It helped because I was still shooting archery, so I still had that little bit of therapy, but I also now had this new purpose, right? So,
right.
The after sports world, or in the the disability world,
right?
People who are who are dealing with a disability, or someone who gets injured in some way, shape, or form, the best way for them to get back into being somewhat okay is to get them a new purpose, find them a new purpose in life. Because they had one purpose and then they got injured and now that's gone. So now it's trying to find something else. So for me, not only was it archery and being the best archer that I could possibly be for the United States, but it was also, coaching these guys and teaching them stuff, and teaching them that, just because you have one arm doesn't mean you can't shoot a bow, and for me as a coach, the most rewarding thing out of all of it was taking someone who has no idea that they can shoot a bow and thinks that there's no way, like it's impossible. Being able to take them, put them into a bow, and have them shoot and get that. Like for me, I always tell everyone that I talk to about this, that that first shot, the very first arrow, like I don't watch where the arrow goes. I don't care how you shoot. I say I watch the people. So I always watch the shooter. As soon as I see that person release that bow, and it's the immediate like, holy crap, I can do this. Like, did you see that? Like, I just did this. Like, I can do this. Like, it's an incredible feeling to be able to watch like what something that helps you, like something that helped me. Being able to take that and give that to someone else. Now, it's an incredibly rewarding experience to be able to do that.
Right.
Absolutely.
So but you basically, even though you're giving them that, that holy crap, did you see what I just did feeling,
Absolutely.
when you're coaching them, a lot of times, because you are working with veterans, you're going above and beyond, because you are helping these guys who, they're dealing with depression, they're dealing with the PTSD, they're dealing with other things. And you as a coach, even though people look at you like, well, I'm doing, this, and it's very narrow, I'm showing somebody how to shoot a bow. When you look at the broad picture, you're helping them with their mindset. You're helping them to overcome, even at some little point. I mean, PTSD is one of those things that I'm not an expert. And if I say this out of turn, I apologize, but it's something you're never going to get away from.
I agree. It can get better, but it's never
right. And so that's what that's what you're doing as well. So that must have been as much rewarding for you, the fact that you have those guys that you're and guys and gals. I mean, I don't know if you just coach.
For sure. Guys and gals. Absolutely.
And you have those now, the Paralympic archers, if you want to call them that. I don't know what their exact title would be, but you have them and they're going, man, and it just clears their mind, and hopefully they can fall back on that, to where instead of with a PTSD, episode, the thing they do is they grab their bow and they go out, and hopefully, if they've got a spot where they can shoot in their backyard or something, they go out there and it calms them down. It gets them
100%.
back.
Absolutely. Not only with, it being therapeutic in the sense that you get to escape for a little bit while you're doing it, but also just in the sense that, I take someone who just lost their arm, right?
Right.
And immediately, like, as soon as you get disabled, it immediately becomes, I can't do a lot. Like, there's a lot that I can't do. If I can show them that they can do this, something that they never thought they could do, then that also shows that maybe there's a possibility that there's a lot more that I can do that I never actually thought about. So it actually, it helps retrain that thought process. It shows them that, if I can do this, then I could probably do that. And then it opens up a bunch of new doors for these people who basically slammed all those doors shut because they didn't think they could do anything.
Right.
And that really is, the best part about it is just being able to show them that, something that you are telling me you can't do, I can help you do it,
Right.
And then it becomes this whole thing. Well, now I can do anything, like there's nothing that I can't, do if I just try.
Right.
So absolutely.
You just put your mind to it, and you can overcome
99%. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible what you can do if you adapt to if you want to do something bad enough, you will adapt to make it happen.
Right.
On the U.S. Paralympic team, there is a guy by the name of Matt Stutzman who shoots with no arms. He shoots with his feet.
Wow.
And he has a harness that goes on his shoulder, and he uses his chin to activate the harness, but he holds the bow with his feet. So if he can shoot a bow, someone with one arm can do just about damn near everything.
Exactly.
So, absolutely.
Now, I'm assuming, and this may be wrong for me to do this, but most of the bows that you're using, they're compound bows.
Yeah, it's both. So we shoot compound and recurve.
Okay. I'm that's interesting. I mean, absolutely. I could just, to me, a compound bow is it's more intimidating than a recurve
Yeah.
because of all the gears and the string and
Yeah, I mean,
everything.
absolutely. Until you see like what an Olympic recurve looks like and the distance that you have to shoot an Olympic recurve.
Right.
So it's funny because a lot of people are like, I'm going to shoot recurve. They have like kind of the same mindset that you do. Like, they're like, it's a lot more simple. There's a lot less crap that's going on. Like,
Right.
and then, they get out to their first tournament and they realize that an Olympic recurve archer is shooting 70 meters and a compound archer is shooting 50 meters. Well, now that compound bow doesn't look that bad anymore. Now it's like, well, hold on a second. Like, that's like almost just shy of a football field, and this one's a lot closer. Like, hold on a second. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of people have that, but actually shooting a recurve is a lot more difficult, and it's actually so. I always tell people like this: if they're like, I don't know what I want to do, blah blah blah. The way that I see it is the compound bow does the work for you, right? Compound bow is just jam-packed with technology. Basically, you just have to hold it still and release it right, and it will go where it needs to go. A recurve bow has none of that technology. So you have to be perfect in your shot, in your form, the way that you make every shot. It has to be exactly the same every single time. So a lot of people have that same thought. They're like, oh, recurve's easier, but then you get into it and you're like, dude, recurve is so much harder. Like I actually shot recurve with the Paralympic program for a while, and then I injured my rotator cuff, so I had to go back to recurve or back to compound. But yeah, it's a lot harder, and you have to be a lot more precise and a lot more consistent when you're shooting recurve.
I have a recurve, and that's probably why I don't use it much, because of my precision. I think I'm the kind of guy I would do like you, but I guarantee you the tip of that arrow is not going to be pointing at the ceiling. It's just going to go up. I'm just going to be strong. You're just going to go up and into the ceiling.
That's awesome. But, absolutely.
It is fun. I mean, I enjoy doing it.
Absolutely.
I don't. Of course, we live in a residential neighborhood, so I don't get to get out in the backyard and do it very often, because should I miss?
Yeah.
I don't want
your neighbor might be upset with you real quick.
Yeah. But so you're going through this, and this is really helping you out a lot. And then you get to where the music kind of steps in, and you get into writing. How long have you been writing music?
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't start playing guitar. So I didn't start playing guitar or really thinking about music. So there's like steps to this. So the way that it worked out was COVID shut down archery. Archery was basically shut down. There was nothing happening. And at the time, I had a guitar, and I was like, I mean, I could probably learn how to play that. Like I don't see why not. Like I can use my thumb to strum, and I'll be fine. So I learned G, C, E minor, and D, and which are the 4 basic chords for just about any country song. And I was like, hey, cool. Like I learned this. I G, C, E minor, D. I learned it. I got very comfortable with it. And then once I learned the G, C, E minor, and D, that was when I was like, I was playing it. I was getting really comfortable with it, and I wanted to write a song. I wanted to write songs. Like I'm in Nashville, the home of singer-songwriters. Like I was like, I want to do this. Like I want to try this. I wrote my first song called "Take This Chance," and it was for my girlfriend, and I sang it to her and played it for her, and she was like, it's really good. Like it's really good. You like, and her saying that and her like supporting me really gave me that confidence to be like,
oh yeah,
maybe I can do this. It's like maybe this is something that I can actually do. And then it just kind of took off from there. I wrote another song with that as well, because I learned like basic bar chords, and I was like, hey, now that I know these bar chords, I can play even more now. So I wrote a song with just bar chords, and I was like, heck yeah, man, I'm good to go. Like I got 2 songs. I can start going to writers rounds now.
Right.
And so yeah, I wrote that song, sang it to my girlfriend. It was for her. It was about her, and she was like, that's really good too. And I was like, man, I could probably do this. Like, why not? Like, what am I waiting for? Like what? Right. why not? What do I have to lose? Like, if I go and try and I go and I started learning songs, like I pulled up like guitar tabs on my laptop and on my phone and started learning songs and how everything's structured and stuff. And I eventually learned how to transpose songs. So the fact that, I can just change the key with a capo, and now it's like I could play any freaking song that's out there.
Right.
But yeah, I started doing that, and just having that support of my girlfriend and really, believing in me really pushed me to want to really get into this, get on stage. I had 2 songs, and I found a singer-songwriter competition called Nashville's Next Best of 3.
Right.
And they only required 1 at the time. And I was like, well, I got 2, so let's do this. I was like, why not? Like, I'll submit for it. Like, why not?
Right.
And that's something that, a lot of people think is crazy, but, at this point in time, like, I've almost died. Like, life is too short.
Right.
Why not? If this is something that I think I could possibly do, or something that I've always wanted to do, like, I'm going to try it, like, why not? Because at the end of the day, like, if I put it off and then one day I'm gone, like, I would have never had the amazing experiences that I've had, on stage playing down in Nashville and playing all these writers rounds and getting to meet people, these amazing singer-songwriters and stuff like that. And it's just, so yeah, that's just kind of how it started, and just, started writing more and more love songs for my girlfriend. And it just, I just became a lot more confident in my songwriting, and a lot more confident in my guitar playing. And eventually I was just like, you know what, I'm ready to start gigging. Like, I want to get out there. And I mean, 6 months into learning how to play guitar, I was on the singer-songwriter competition, Nashville's Next Best of 3, with the only 2 songs that I had ever written. And I was like, hey, why not? Like, what's the point of doing this if I'm not going to do it all the way?
Exactly.
Like, and yeah, I try to live my life in the sense that, life's too short. If there's something that I want to try, or a dream that I want to achieve, like, I'm going to do everything I can to make it happen. And in the same sense, like, I'm going to be there for people who want to make their dreams happen. Whether it be, my kids, my family, my girlfriend, whatever they want to do, I'll do everything in my power to make sure that I can help in getting that for them. So,
like you say, life's too short, and there's no sense in living with regrets. You may
100%.
get, further down, up in years, and then you just don't have, you may not have the strength to shoot a bow anymore. And you go, well, I'll never have to regret that, because I got to.
Absolutely.
Or whatever. Now, who are some of your favorite, like, current country artists?
Let's see. Current, man, I'm still a 90s country kid at heart, man.
Okay.
I still live in, there's just something about that generation of country music, man. It's just so good. I love Lee Brice, of course. Lee Brice is great. Brett Young has some great stuff. Riley Duckman's amazing. And there's just, I'll always be the biggest Garth Brooks fan out there, man. Honestly. Garth Brooks is just the man. He really is. He's what made me fall in love with country music. And he's just, he has changed the way that country music is perceived. And he's done more for this, for us as artists, that a lot of people don't really understand he actually did. He made it possible for country music to be whatever the hell we want it to be.
Right.
You have Sam Hunt, who talks, most of his songs is talking.
Right.
I mean, who would have ever thought in a million years that would be, a way, and that's, I mean, he just, Garth Brooks paved the way to show people that, hey, you can make this whatever you want it to be.
Right.
And that's really the reason why I hold Garth Brooks in such a great regard, because of the fact that, he's just, he changed country music for the better, in the sense that, it's the perception, and now country music can be whatever we want it to be.
Right.
rather than, rather than having the labels tell us what it's supposed to be. It's us saying, I want to do this. And it sounds kind of cool. And, the country music community just jumps on it and they love it. So it's amazing.
I think what Garth has done in the past for country and what he continues to do for it, because he took that time away, spent time with the kids and helping raise them and just all the stuff he's done along the way. But when he came back almost at the point he left off.
100%. People still loved him just as much as when he left.
Exactly, and he's one of the most down to earth, humble guys.
Yeah.
I don't think if you meet Garth for the first time, he doesn't look at you like a stranger.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that he treats everyone like he's known him for years.
Yeah. I mean, by the end of a 5-minute conversation, you walk away feeling like you've known him for years.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's just so open and honest. And I think that, I think there's a lot of that's missing with some artists nowadays. Luke Combs is another one of those guys. He knows where he came from.
Absolutely.
And there are those that are like that and they know where they came from. Riley's another one, he knows where his upbringing is and he's such a super cool guy.
Absolutely.
So I just see a lot of that. And then I see some of these artists where I get the opportunity to meet a lot and some of them are great and some of them, they don't care whether, my day job is radio and they don't care if I work in radio during the day or what. They're just,
for sure.
They're just kind of standoffish.
Absolutely. Yeah. But, it's incredible. Like Garth showed that, he's the greatest country music artist of all time. Mm-hmm. He really is. The numbers don't lie. He really is. He basically took country to a worldwide stage, and it was, honestly, he's a great artist. He writes great songs, but a lot of it was, the fact that he was a performer and the fact that he went out of his way to be there for the fans, to make sure, he is hands down the pinnacle of what every artist should be when they think about connecting with fans.
Oh yeah.
And then also him taking time off. This dude is at the height of his career. Yeah. Height of his career. He showed everyone that it is okay to put your family above everything else.
Right.
And how many artists can you say would actually do that?
Right.
And this guy is the greatest country artist of all time. And he took a break so that he could be there for his family. It's amazing. Yeah.
And he's one that I will always respect him for that and just his humbleness and his, his down to earth feel,
Absolutely.
And it's just really super cool. But, you've got a song that, how long ago did you release?
I released it May 28th, actually. Okay. Yeah, not too long ago.
Been a little over a month now.
Yeah.
Just a couple of days over a month, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I've got it queued up here and ready to go. And this is called Truck It. I'm going to play it. We're going to come back and talk a little bit about the backstory of that. Then we got another couple of things we're going to talk about real quick. Something that you've just recently become involved in that I'm connected to, and I'm super excited to talk to you about that.
Absolutely.
But this is Scotty Hasting. The song is called Truck It. You can find it on all the streaming platforms. Go check it out. You'll hear it now, but you can go back and listen to it on the streaming platforms. Be sure to stream it because that's what helps these guys. And that's what we want to do as far as the artist goes. So this is Scotty Hasting. This is called Truck It on b4Nahville, where we introduce the country stars of tomorrow to the country fans of today.
Do you haul some 2x4s to mend the fence after a storm? Get a day's worth of hay where the cattle graze, some red dirt on the floorboards, you truck it. How'd you get to a Saturday parking lot on hotel gate with a cooler packed above 30 rats? Everybody ready for the game. Gets 20 to the mile, 50 for a tank. You can call me crazy, I don't care what you think. It's hollow ground in my escape. Speakers cranking Skinner on the interstate with the tires humming, the V8's rushing, nothing else can touch it. You don't understand. Tricky. Kids to school at 9 a.m. It's where my girl sits on the weekend. Throw a blanket down, the best seat in town for a movie at the drive-in. Tricky. It's 20 to the mile, 50 for a tank. You can call me crazy, I don't care what you think. It's hollow ground in my escape. Speakers cranking Skinner on the interstate with the tires humming, the V8's rushing, nothing else can touch it. You don't understand. Tricky. It's 20 to the mile, 50 for a tank. You can call me crazy, I don't care what you think. It's hollow ground, it's my escape. Speakers cranking Skinner on the interstate with the tires humming, the V8's rushing, nothing else can touch it. You don't understand. Tricky.
All right, that's called Truck It from Scotty Hasting on b4Nahville, introducing the country stars of tomorrow to the country fans of today. I got to say, I relate to that song a lot because I just bought a truck back in February.
There you go.
First truck I've ever, well, I owned one when I was younger, but since then, you know, a family man, I couldn't really have a truck. And then my wife finally said, honey, go buy you a truck. So I bought one, and that 20 mile, what was that? 20 to the gallon,
20 to the mile, 50 for
20
a tank.
to the mile. That's it. That is so true.
For real. Absolutely.
But I love it. I wouldn't trade it. I mean, I really, it's a 2014 F-150 and I love it, man. It's
absolutely.
And of course, you know, my wife gardens, so she's found all kinds of use.
Absolutely.
So where did the idea was that, tell me a little bit about the backstory of the song. Was that a solo ride? Did you write that with somebody, or?
I actually wrote it with two of my friends. So before Truck It, like I said, I had written a lot of songs for my girlfriend. They were love songs and they were slow songs. And I was, you know, I still write those songs. I mean, because there's, you know, that's where my heart is right now, you know, and I love writing songs for her, about her. It means everything to me. But I met with Jake Partial and Liam Slater. Jake Partial is a producer out here in Nashville, and Liam Slater is another singer-songwriter. And I went in and I was like, he was like, you know, what do you want to write? You want to write something slow? And I was like, no, I already have that. Like, I'm good on the slow stuff. Like, I don't need, I appreciate it, but I really want to do something that's out of my league, like something that I've never really done before, something that's a little bit more Southern rock, a little bit more in your face, roll the windows down, turn it up, kind of more like anthem-y. I want to do something like that. And he was like, cool, let's do it. He's like, you drive a truck? And I was like, yeah. He's like, all right, let's write a song about trucks. I was like, all right, cool, why not? And yeah, Truck It came to be. I mean, it was definitely all three of us put in some work on that song, but it was, you know, it was great. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, you know, I got to say this. I work with another artist, and we just released his song first part of June to radio, just started pushing it out to radio. And I sent it to some friends of mine who are in Nashville.
Yeah.
And they work with artists and they're promoters. And I asked them, I said, what are your thoughts on the song? And one of the things that they told me that just really stuck with me, because I was just like, that's country music. It's like, well, it's definitely a country song. It talks about trucks. It talks
Absolutely.
about, the girl and all that. And that's what it is. I mean, it's like David Allan Cole said, he didn't write the perfect country and western song because it didn't talk about trucks, didn't talk about mamas, didn't talk about prison.
Absolutely.
But nowadays the prison's not as high a priority as it was
not back then. Yeah.
But as dogs, and that kind of thing. And so I'm like, that's a part of country music that has never changed since, you 100%. Never even called me by your name. It's like trucks have always been a part of it.
Absolutely.
And I love that, if you listen to, some pop music, the majority of the things they talk about are Bugattis and Lamborghinis and stuff like that. Stuff that even if I had the money, I wouldn't own one.
I mean, I'd buy a Ferrari. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. I might go for a Porsche. I'm not gonna lie. I've always wanted one, but a Bugatti I would never take because they sit so low to the ground. I'd feel like my backside was dragging.
Oh yeah, I'm 6'4". I would suffer every time. But you know what? If someone wanted to give me a Bugatti, I'd take one.
Yeah. If you want to give me, go right ahead. But I'm not spending money on it because I can buy a nice truck for a lot less. But I mean, it's just a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But
absolutely.
I mean, it's the song to me. It's again, like you said, it's kind of got that anthemic feel to it.
Absolutely.
Where it's a good summer. Crank the windows, crank it up, roll the windows down, blast it out of the speakers, and if you got them to where you can put them in the bed of the truck, and turn it up even louder is kind of my
absolutely. Yeah, we wanted to write. So once we wrote the song, we wanted to be sure that it was out during the summer or before summer. We wanted to make sure that it was like it could be a good summer song that you would really like listen to, or you would hear like the good old boys driving down Broadway in Nashville with it cranked up. Like we wanted to give people the opportunity to really hear this song in the way that we had brought it into the world, which was kind of just having that anthem style feel and kind of just having that, that where you can turn it up and everyone in the truck just screaming it, so we really wanted to do that. But yeah, I mean, it's a fun song. It's funny because me and my girlfriend talk about it all the time. She loves the song. But I never thought in a million years that I would be, one of those artists that writes a song about a truck. I drive an F-150 also, but I've never thought that I would be one of those artists that's like, hey, I'm gonna write a song about truck. But once we actually wrote it, and it was just like, man, this is a fun song. Like it's a fun song. And yeah, I mean, my girlfriend joke about it all the time. Like, I didn't think you wanted to write a song about trucks. Like, it was like, yeah, okay. Yep, you're right. But yeah, I mean, it's a fun song. It really is.
It's like I didn't, but it works.
Yeah, I mean, I never thought in a million years like I'd be one of those artists. But hey, it's a great song,
Right. And I think, you can, I'm not taking anything away from what you've already written, where you said, hey, I've already got all the slow songs.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing wrong with a good slow love song, an ode to your wife or your girlfriend or something like that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that.
100%.
But sometimes, you just gotta have that.
Yeah.
And I hope your girlfriend's not even watching. If she is,
she is 100%. She's watching. Absolutely.
I'm going to get myself in trouble, but guys got to have fun. No,
she definitely knows. I mean, but the reason why it became a thing was because for a while I had been talking to her. I was like, man, I want to write something upbeat, something fun. And I had the opportunity with, having, Jake and Liam there. I mean, these guys have written stuff and Jake has produced some stuff that's really great. And, this type of song, Truck It, was completely out of my wheelhouse. Like, I knew love songs. I knew how to write them. I knew how to structure it. I knew that, like, that was my world. And this was an opportunity for me to expand that world, and having them there and being able to, like, pick their brains and kind of figure out, like with Jake, like figure out how all the instrumentation is going to work and how everything's going to fall together. And just being able to see that, like, that was a whole nother side of country music that I had never really stepped into and never really, been a part of. I've never done like the fast, like in your face stuff that it's my girlfriend completely understands, because we had been talking about it for a while, that I wanted to do, something fun and fast. And, but yeah, she still likes the love songs more. So it's probably more so because they're for her. So
I hope I didn't offend her by saying,
that's okay. I like the love songs more too. I'm not gonna lie. I like trucking. It's fun, but
I'm fine if I'm at the house, and my wife and I are, which generally we have so few hours together, because by the time I get home from work, and then she has her job and, her main job, and then she has her side gig, and she's on a Zoom call tonight. So it's like, we don't have a lot of time together. So not a lot of love songs in there, let me tell you. But like, if we're, cruising down the highway, like last weekend, we were going up to St. Louis, and just, I'm deaf in one ear, literally. And so I have to have it up a little bit louder.
Yeah.
But she always tells me, you only say that because you like it loud.
Absolutely.
Maybe
Absolutely.
Maybe just a little bit.
See, there we go.
But no, but it's a fun song. It's one that you could put on a road trip soundtrack.
Absolutely.
Or playlist.
Yeah,
Now.
I have some people who have reached out to me, and I have a friend in Japan who's even like, man, this is on like my workout playlist. It's on my like just riding playlist. And I'm like, great. Like, that's awesome. So yeah, that's basically what it was written for. It was written for that reason.
Well, and now let's go ahead and move on. We talked a little bit about some of the things that I do in the show, but I don't know that we're going to get to that, because I want to talk about something I'm super excited about. And you came on board 2 days ago,
something like that.
I think it was 2 days ago.
Yeah.
We're doing it's a concert series. It's called Freedom Jam, raising money for an organization called Operation Triage. For those that are listening that may not be aware, Operation Triage they do a lot, and I kind of probably don't put as much into everything they do, because they do so much, but they help out veterans, first responders, active military families with housing and home improvements and so much more. I mean, that's just the primary focus, but there's so much that they do. And about a year ago in August, I was approached by Brian Judy, which Brian has been on the podcast 2 or 3 times, about helping out with it. And so last year we did it, and then this year we did it again, and we're doing 2 shows this year.
That's awesome.
And so we have one in St. Louis. We have one at the camp in Lake Wapapella, Missouri, which is down it's like probably 25 miles, if that far, from the Arkansas border.
Yeah.
But it's a gorgeous place. The camp is a phenomenal place. And Scotty agreed a couple of days ago, because we had some timing things that we thought we had to work out, and then time opened up, and we thought we can add another artist. So Scotty was the first one we went to, and we said, hey, would you be interested? And you accepted. And so you're coming down to Lake Wapapello, and that's going to be on September 25th.
Yes.
And it's called The Camp. And
it'll be fun. I'm actually playing a banquet on the 23rd, and my whole family's going to be here, including my girlfriend. So we're all coming down.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's an all day affair. We have one and I have to throw out for the St. Louis show, which is August 28th. And they're both all day concerts, and it is independent country music artists. It's people that you're not going to hear on your radio 4 times within a 3-hour time span.
Absolutely.
You know, it's not the you know, the Lukes, the Kennys, the Jasons, the Garths of the world. These are the people that are struggling to get, and I say struggle because it is a struggle. There's, I mean, you know,
absolutely.
For every new artist that walks into Nashville, there's 50 more sitting over there waiting.
Yeah, for sure. Two of my good friends are playing as well, so it'll be fun.
Who else
B.D.
is
James and Brandon Davis.
Oh yeah,
I wrote a song with Brandon Davis.
I think Brian told me about that, and then the guy that I was talking about that I work with, he and Brandon have also written a song.
Yeah, Brandon's great,
and
he has some great stuff.
Yeah, and it's going to be fun because Jared's going to be at that show too. So the four of you guys get together, and there's no telling what could happen.
Let's do it.
It could be a massive jam, you know.
Hey, heck yeah, I'm in.
But we've got 13 artists now. Well, we're back to 12 because we had a band pull out, and we're looking to see what we can do there. But we'll have 13 artists there. We had 13 at St. Louis. So, and tickets for the St. Louis show are $30 for general admission. They're $50 for VIP, which I think the VIP may be closed right now. And I don't know if Brian's watching, but if he is, he'll let me know. I know we were about to do the cutoff on the VIPs. The camp tickets are $25, and then VIPs, I think on those are still going, but they're $45 for VIP. And we basically, if you know, like, we bring in sponsors to cover our bottom lines, and then all the ticket sales we get back to Operation Triage to help them, because they're a 501c3. They don't have any kind of funding primarily other than donations, and so this is helping them out for what they do. And it's just a great organization. OperationTriage.org. You can go check it out and read more about it. But this is going to be, like I said, it's going to be Saturday, September 25th. And Scotty's going to be there. Brandon's going to be there. Biddy's going to be there.
Yeah.
Taylor Austin Dye coming. I think everybody on that bill but two are from Nashville.
Heck yeah.
And we have a band from St. Louis called Whiskey Rebels that's coming down. And then Jared, who is originally from Perryville, where Chris Jansen, you know, I hesitate to throw that out a lot of times, but because I don't want it to be known as, Jared's from Jared's from Perryville, and just happen to share the same hometown.
Absolutely.
But it's going to be a blast. I think we've got, we're going to have acoustic acts, and then we're going to have full bands. I'll be rocking it acoustically. So yeah, but man, I'm telling you, acoustic between, I know with you, and I mean, all of our acoustic acts are good. Like I said, we've got Taylor Austin Dye, Stephanie Ryan, Betty's coming, Brandon, Stephanie Nash. I feel like I'm forgetting an acoustic act in there somewhere. And I know I am. But then we have Aaron Cosgrove, who just moved to Nashville from California. Sarah Faith, who's in Nashville. October Rose, they're out of the Philadelphia area. Jared Miller Holler, who's our headliner for the night, and they're out of Nashville. It's going to be a blast. You got to get tickets for it. I'm just telling you, you got to get to, they're $25. If you can find an all day festival for $25, let me know where it's at.
For real though.
Absolutely. And if you want to bring 10 people with you, we have a couple of gazebos that you get. I mean, these are like the VIP treatment. You get, you're the only 10 people that can go in and out. And we've got those on there too. Eventbrite.com /Freedom Jam or Freedom_Jam_Semo. If you just go to Eventbrite.com, look up Freedom Jam 2021, it'll give you all the info. But go check those out, because it's going to be a lot of fun. And I can't wait to see you there, because like I said, I found you. I saw your post about your explanation. I'd been following you for a little bit, and then I saw that and I thought, I'm going to have to watch that. And I waited about 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
crap, I can't find it.
Absolutely.
And then I could
posting new
remember your
stuff
first name, and I couldn't remember the last one at that point. And I'm like, okay. So I just searched, and it popped up, and I started watching it. And then I've been, following ever since, and just kind of watching and stuff. And
I appreciate it.
I mean, you're probably in the last 3 days, I've had 15 of the streams on Spotify are mine. So because I just listened to the song over and over.
Please continue to do that.
I definitely will.
I'm glad you enjoy it.
Like I said, I'm going to have to develop a road trip playlist and put it and some other songs on there and just start playing that, because I have about a 30-minute commute to and from work every day.
Oh, yeah. Perfect for a good amount of songs.
Yeah, 30 minutes, I can get 7 or 8 songs in for sure. So as you know, I sometimes conduct business on the road, talking on the phone and stuff, but I try to listen to music as much as possible. So go check out Scotty on Instagram, Facebook. Are you doing the TikTok thing yet?
No, not yet.
Okay. I hesitate to ask because a lot of people aren't.
Not yet. I mean,
but,
people I keep talking to, podcast hosts and other singer-songwriters, and they're like, man, you need to, it's a great way to get following. And I'm like, it's not there yet, man. I don't know.
The odd thing I've noticed about TikTok is, and because it's such a new platform, I think is the biggest thing, but I see more independent country artists that have more followers than a lot of the A-list guys.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I saw 3 or 4 today, like 80,000, 88,000. One was 100 and some thousand. I'm going, where do they come from?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what's so cool about it. And that's one of the things that I actually have TikTok for the podcast. I don't do very much with it. I need to do more, especially with, Freedom Jam coming up, because I think if we could connect with a lot of the fans of all these artists, then we could really, have a great show.
I do know that Truck It's on TikTok. I'm not, but Truck It is.
It is.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is.
Wow.
The distributor that I went through to distribute it actually put it up on TikTok. So yeah.
Well, I'll have to remember that. Next TikTok I do, I have another obligation. I have to get out of the way first for TikTok, and I let my mouth overload my butt. And so I got to do that one. But the next one, I'll do one of washing the truck, and we'll.
There you go. Love that. Love that idea.
Either that or just going out mudding, which I haven't done yet because I've
got to do it at least once.
I just haven't got to do it yet. Absolutely. So we'll have to. I think my daughter, she borrowed it one night, and she may have done that. I don't know. It came back a little bit dirtier than what she left with it with. I know that.
Probably.
But yeah, man. I mean, hey, I'm looking forward to Freedom Jam. I'm super looking forward to meeting you.
Absolutely, same.
Know, and hanging out and hearing music and knowing that I remember hearing that you and Brandon had written a song together, and you and Biddy in there and Brandon and I'd like to see, Jared with you guys, and you, I mean, who knows, the 4 of y'all may get together and write the next big country song.
Be a lot of fun.
That could be cool.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Again, that's going to be the 25th of September, the 28th of August. If you are up in the St. Louis area, or if that's a little bit closer, then you're more than welcome to attend that show too. Tickets at eventbrite.com. We will have tickets at the door too, by the way. We have decided, or at the gate. I say the door, it's all outside. But we will have tickets at the gate. So, but we want to encourage you to get them on Eventbrite, because we never know what might happen at the last minute. We could sell out and nobody, you don't get tickets, and we want to make sure you do. So be sure to get them. So now you're going to be, you talked about you were playing an event like right before that, the 23rd, I think you said, right?
Yeah. I'm playing a private event, a banquet.
Okay. And then
my family's going to come down, and it's funny. It just worked out that the 25th is 2 days from then. And we're just going to hop in a van and drive out there. So,
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
That'd be great. That will be great. What other shows do you have coming up?
Oh man, I have so many shows coming up. So tomorrow from 7 to 9, I'll be at Sawbriar Brewing Company, which is actually in like Jamestown, Tennessee, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, if you jump on my Instagram or my Facebook, I just posted my full July shows list.
Okay.
And it'll have every show that I'm doing in July, and it's a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah. There's a lot in there.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, we'll definitely keep an eye on that and make sure to push it, and look forward to seeing you again in September.
Absolutely. Yeah, it'll be fun.
We like to get down to Nashville every once in a while, but I don't know that that's going to happen between now and August. We're just so much going on right now with COVID. It's kind of messed everything up. And
well, I mean, if COVID's an issue, Nashville's wide open. So
yeah,
apparently COVID doesn't live in Nashville. So there we go.
Well, I tease everybody because I did get asked, and I don't want to offend anybody because I know there's people out there that'll say, "Oh, why did you do that?" I did get chipped.
Yeah.
Also known as, being vaccinated. So
yes, you also lost your camera there for a second.
I did. I don't know what happened here. Something went wrong all of a sudden. I don't know why my camera just went out on me here. But I still have the sound, and let me look and see if it just switched off my camera. No, my camera's still on. Well, or it shows it's always something. There
we go.
There it is. It's always something. Technology.
Absolutely.
It's a wonderful thing until it pisses you off, and then you're ready to just throw it all out the window.
It's okay. I honestly, I asked my girlfriend everything about technology because I'm horrible with technology stuff.
I've learned to love to hate it more in the last year and a half I've been doing the podcast.
Absolutely.
I'll be honest.
I believe that. There's always something that happens.
Yeah. But Scotty, man, thanks for coming on. I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. And again, looking forward to seeing you in September. Check him out on all the streaming platforms. TikTok, if you want to do a TikTok with a good song for your truck, it's the perfect one to do.
There you go.
Then just drop Scotty a message. If you want to see him live along with Brandon and Betty and Jared and Taylor and all the folks that I mentioned, and we'll be at the camp at Lake Wapapello. And then also at St. Louis, we've got another whole lineup of artists up there. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So come on out. And Scotty, you take care, and we will catch you hopefully before too long, man.
You too. Thank you so much.
All right. And that's b4Nahville, introducing the country stars of tomorrow to the country fans of today. Coming up on Monday night, let me double check here. I believe it is a guy that has, according to one of the charts in Nashville, the #1 independent song in the country, and that is Dew Pendleton. And we're going to be talking to him on Monday night. So join us again on Monday night for b4Nahville. Till then, y'all have a great night.